My name's Bradley Guys.
And my name is Adam Pringer.
And welcome to the Hot Swap. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Hot Swap. I'm back with Adam. What's going on, man?
I'm feeling funky fresh.
That's cool. I'm feeling pretty good, too. So I guess I'll go ahead and get into what I've been getting into this week. Let's start off with Pocket Jockey. Is it called Pocket Card Jockey? Yeah, I like Pocket Jockey better. So I downloaded the demo yesterday and finally jumped into it. And the first thing I'll say is it's a really good demo. It's really long. I kept wondering, like, when is it going to kick me out of it? And I think I played for at least an hour on a demo. I just kept jumping into races over and over again. It just kept letting me keep playing. I got at least 1 or 2 horses, and I was leveling it up. And, I mean, it's almost, for a while there, I was like, is this like the full game or is this a demo? Let's see what else I wrote here, though. I wrote that it's hard. It is a hard game.
You thought so too?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot to remember, and there's a lot of different little mechanics going on with it. There's
but once
like
it
3.
Clicks,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but once it clicks, like once you understand all the different parts of it, I feel like, okay, then I can do this, and it's not as difficult, even though it's still kind of hard.
Yeah, but I will say it's a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. When we would talk about it before I'd seen it, I just thought you played solitaire and the horse races. But there's like 3 different phases. There's different versions of solitaire you're playing. I mean, you got to play solitaire just to get started in the beginning. And if you mess the beginning up, you get a really bad start, and you're pretty much screwed. So if you get a bad start, it almost totally messes up your race just from the get-go.
So real quick, the way you play solitaire at the very beginning, you're like still in the gates with all the horses, and you have to play like a really quick match of solitaire where you're just trying to get to the end of a certain row to pick a card that has like a number of orbs on it that'll determine like your overall power. And if you get a high-powered one but do it slowly, it still isn't good for you.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be fast and get the most dots that you can.
But see, the trick is it'll show you really quickly as the cards are like going onto the screen where the 5-orbed card is.
Okay.
You can actually see it, but it's so fast that I missed it usually.
And I never even caught that you could see it, so that's how fast it is. It totally blinked past me. I didn't even notice. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty fun. I really like the art in it. I think it's super cute. You know, it's very cutesy. Everything's very cartoony. The translation seems to be pretty good. I was enjoying the writing. A lot of the stuff was making me laugh.
It's a very amusing game, yeah.
Yeah, and it's timely too, since the derbies and everything are going on right now. So.
Yeah, now you said that.
I'm sure they probably timed it that way on purpose. So.
Probably.
I'm probably going to go ahead and buy this game. I like it, and I'm glad they put a demo out for it because it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be, so that's pretty cool. What else did I get into this week? I did a whole bunch of shiny breeding, and I finally got the guy I was working on. I was working on a shiny Agron, so I could mega him, because I wanted a pure steel mega, so that's pretty cool. It took me 400-something eggs to get him, so not too bad. Maybe it only took me probably 3 weeks. That's pretty good for shinies. If I get one in 3 weeks, I'm usually pretty happy. And
it's a lot of time.
Yeah, but it's not every day. It's not like it used to be. I used to literally work on it for like 8 hours a day. I don't do that anymore.
And you can do that kind of stuff while watching something else.
Exactly. I'm usually watching 2 things at least and doing that. So yeah, that's cool. I'm glad I finally got that shiny. I don't know what my next one's going to be, but I'll talk about it on the show when I start working on it. Oh, and the other thing that's cool about it, he was the last one I needed for a full box of trained shiny, at least 5 IV shiny guys. So I've now finally got a full box of, of shiny. It's taken me like 2 years to do it.
Is he part of a new team that you're putting together, or?
No, I look at the shinies that I have, and I sit there and go, okay, well, I have like one steel shiny. I need to make more. Because, like, right now, I have an overwhelming amount of water shinies. I don't know why. I guess I just think they look cool, so I get a lot of them. So now I'm trying to go through and make more fairy types and steel types. And I need more dark types, stuff like that, just to even out. Just to even out my roster of guys to use so I can have balanced teams.
Yeah.
And sticking with Pokemon, one of my subscribers on my YouTube channel requested a triple mono run. So I've been practicing that lately. I've been working on Dragon because I figured Dragon would be the best because it's only weak to 2 types. It's only weak to Ice and Fairy. I was able to get to 41, which is the farthest I've ever made in the Maison with a mono squad. So I'm pretty excited to actually make my video. I'm hoping I can make it to 50 with them. So that's basically what I've been getting into this week. What have you been working on?
Well, I haven't really been playing anything. I think I mentioned last episode that I'd finished what I'm going to consider my last set of micro levels for Super Mario Maker.
I don't like hearing that, but I understand.
It's not that I'm not going to make any more single screen levels, but this was a specific series where I was trying to do some specific things and do it kind of set up like it was a miniature Mario game.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember you saying something about that earlier.
Yeah, and so I'm probably still going to make a lot of small levels. I'm kind of stuck at the number I have right now, so I'll need to get some more coins to be able to do that, or medals.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of medals, I wanted to congratulate you because your medals have really jumped here lately. I guess a lot of people are starting to play your levels finally.
Well, I think there's because they're all the same and they're part of a series and it's noticeable. I think it really does draw some people to play one and enjoy it, and then go and play the other ones.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it kind of builds off of each other. So that's really nice, and it has helped me out a lot because I went from like 1 or 2 to 4 very quickly.
Yeah, you're right on my butt because I mean I'm at 5, and I hit 600 stars recently, and I thought that would get my next medal for me, but I guess I need to go farther because I didn't get it. So.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned that I was trying to do some specific things with these. My goals kind of were in making these levels. I wanted to have at least most of them be approachable by an average gamer,
right,
or an average Mario player. And as we were discussing earlier, some of them are more challenging. And usually when I was trying to have them be more challenging, they were going to be centered around, rather than it being like a lot of enemies or a lot of objects that could hurt you, it was going to be centered around like one small thing that would seem challenging at first, but then once you kind of got through it, it wouldn't seem as challenging, or would like teach you something new about the game.
Right. Okay.
And so that was kind of where I was balancing the difficulty of all these levels I made. And some things I noticed about the way I was making the levels, I found it really difficult to make compelling water levels. I'm not super pleased with how all of those turned out. They're not terrible, but I think they're some of my weaker levels.
I liked your newer one. I just went through and played some of the levels that Adam's talking about. I liked the one where there was 2 paths.
Okay.
And there was a spike shell and a Beelzebub or whatever shell next to the cloud. I put on the spike shell and I just crushed all the question blocks in my way. I thought that was fun.
Okay. I had that set up to where you could go either route while just holding the shell to like show you how you can move faster in water by holding an object.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
And then there is, of course, a way to beat the level even quicker, which is something that's kind of key to the levels that I've made. You can beat it quicker by putting on that shell hat and breaking through the blocks.
Yeah, that's how I beat it, so you'll see it in the video.
Yeah, and so I think the last water level I made is also pretty unique to the water levels. Um, it's okay. I think it's pretty much just okay, but you'll probably enjoy it. It's fun, but it's just not. Some of my other levels I like more. Um, and so then airship levels I tried to always put before castle levels, um, as kind of like setting up the world that I was making and trying to have it be kind of like a miniature Mario game. And
Yeah, I
those were
never picked up on
usually,
that.
what was that?
I never picked up on that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so every 4 levels there's a castle, um, and before most of them there's a airship level.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely be. I'm gonna go back and look at all your levels now. I want to see the pattern.
Yeah, and then I tried to make the airship levels a bit more mechanical. The castle levels have either like somewhat of a boss in them, or they have a couple of them have homages to other Nintendo games,
Okay.
and then the ghost houses where typically where I broke all my rules and just tried to make a really complicated level that would trick people, like ghost houses tend to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And I learned a lot by doing these because one of my main goals in making levels for Mario is I'm trying to learn what compels people to play the game and play through levels, and where people find stuff to be like super challenging.
Hmm.
Because at first I was trying to make levels where you couldn't die. I think I'd gone over this before. And even when you make a level that you can't die in, but still may have challenging jumps, it didn't seem to necessarily make people compelled to play through the levels.
Okay.
It was almost like they were too easy, so people didn't play them as much. Um, and so that's kind of where my idea of making a level easy to beat, but challenging to beat quickly, kind of, I started working on that a lot because if you could beat it easily, then a lot of people would be playing it. But if you could play through it once and notice how you could improve that run very easily, that maybe you'd feel compelled to go back into it and play it repeatedly until you could beat that record.
Oh, that's definitely that's something that that makes me play levels over and over. Like if I notice as I'm playing through, you'll even see in the latest video, I'm like, well, I could do this faster, I could do this fast. That definitely makes me jump back in, especially on a game like this where you can easily just click right back in.
Yeah, and I do that myself when I'm just playing through random levels. Something I tend to do personally is I'll play one of my own levels, and then from there it'll recommend me other levels, and I'll kind of just play through levels as they are recommended to me.
Oh, that's cool. It's kind of like it's getting stuck in a chain on YouTube where you're just going from video to video to video.
Yeah, it's like that. And if I play through levels doing that rather than going through like the 10 or 100 Mario challenge, I don't feel the pressure of having to just get through a level because I can play it repeatedly without affecting myself that much.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good way to do it. But I've noticed that like if I play through a level and I beat it and I'm really close to the fastest record, or maybe I am the fastest record, but I know that I could improve it, I'll play a level multiple times. And so I was trying to build on that mentality in my own levels.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't even pick up on some of the stuff that you're saying. I guess I was just too focused on trying to beat your levels. I wasn't noticing all the subtle nuances that you had going on.
Well, that's a bit of a shame, but now that I've mentioned it to you, maybe you'll go back and notice some of that.
Definitely.
But yeah, I feel like this was mostly like a challenge for myself and a way to learn how to make levels and make a game basically. And so I'm going to be using that knowledge to make some new stuff that hopefully will be equally as compelling or maybe even more so. So I'm still going to be making stuff. It's just it'll be slightly set up different.
Cool.
And I guess as you've played through all of it and even some of the newer stuff, I didn't know if maybe you could throw by some opinions on that.
I don't know. I just really like your micro levels a lot. I don't know what else to say. Some are a lot harder than others, that's for sure.
Okay, so this level that you're working on.
Okay, so I forget which one it was. It might be number 20. Oh man, I should have wrote this down, Adam. It's like 21. It's a ghost. It's a airship level where there's you start off where there's a pit in front of you and there's POW blocks falling down from the pipe above you. And I couldn't figure out how to beat this one. The only way I could figure out how to beat it is to jump onto the POW block as it falls out of the pipe and then jump across. And
I thought this was completely ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah, and as I was practicing that, you were telling me that I'm way off because we were talking as I was playing it earlier. And I kept telling you I was going to be able to do it, and I did eventually do it. I jumped on the POW block and I jumped across, and I got it recorded, so I will be posting it. Record as I go. Because I'll just I'll splice this in at the beginning of the video for part 2. You see, I'm so impatient. See, this is the problem with this. It takes 8 years to reset. But I could totally do it.
I wish that there was just a button you pressed to restart the level.
Yeah, I hear that. Usually I'll just hit start and hit start over. That's a lot faster.
I mean, that's one of the things that bothered me about...
There we go. Did it.
Now you're just a fucking pro.
On video, son. But you were telling me that I was doing that level completely wrong.
Well, not necessarily wrong. I just wasn't expecting it. But you've beaten in a way that I don't think anybody will be able to beat the time on. So the way that that I actually had designed the level to be beaten is that you'll notice that there is that POW, the pipe with the POW blocks coming out of it behind you as well.
Yep.
And so the idea of the level is to grab one of those POW blocks and throw it underneath and across the falling POW block so that as it's arcing up, it catches the other POW block that's falling and then carries it to the spikes, and as that bottom one disappears, the other one will stay there.
Wow. I tried throwing the POW block into that other POW block a billion times. It just would blow up. Nothing happened. I guess I didn't have the timing right.
I'll have to make a video of it and show it to you.
Yeah, you're going to have to. And obviously I'm going to go back and try to do it the correct way too, but...
Well, I mean, if you do it this way, then you have to go over on top of the level, and it's going to add a bunch of time to your overall time. So the way you did it's the fastest way you could possibly do it.
Which, is cool, and obviously I like speed running, but I was doing it that way just because I couldn't figure out any other way. I went all over the place trying to figure out what to do, and I threw the POW block into the one POW block a million times, but I'm surprised. You're telling me, I mean, that's obviously how you beat it, because you wouldn't have been able to post it if you didn't, so there's got to be some way to do it.
Well, when you see it, it'll be like, I guess.
It'll probably be like, this is really cool.
Yeah. I just think it's amazing that you were able to take something that I thought was so rigid and like simple and expand upon it.
All I can tell you is I played other created levels where I had to jump off of things that were falling out of pipes to get across, so I had practice in it. I'd never done it with a POW block, though. Usually they're spikes. Or, I'm sorry, springs. Springs are usually what people do. They make you jump off a spring to make a really far jump. So I just had practice with that particular timing. Now, I will say that your level leaves no room for error. When you see the video, you'll see me jump, and the POW block has completely disappeared. It looks like I'm jumping off of nothing because I have to take it down to the limit. So, but I did get it to work.
It's amazing. It truly is amazing. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about as far as games we're playing and stuff like that.
Great. So everybody definitely go check out Adam's new levels. And I just put up the first half of his levels, the video that I made, right before we started recording. So if you guys want to check that out, it's up now. And I'll be putting the rest of his levels up sometime this week. But let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. We're Gonna do Adam's song first. He chose Sweet Sweet Galaxy from Mario Galaxy 1, and we'll be right back.
All right, so we're back, and we're going to do something a bit different, I think, than we normally do. We are going to just kind of go over food in video games, whether it's a food character or an item that's food or a level, or even just a whole game kind of centered around eating or food. We're going to kind of just discuss those and list some of the stuff that we think is of note.
Yep.
Basic. So the first game that I wanted to mention was Kirby. Kirby is a game that one of your main abilities is to suck enemies and items up and eat them, or spit them back out. But really the whole series is kind of about eating and food, and there's lots of food items in the game, and modes kind of centered around eating.
Yep, food levels. I mean, there's a lot of food stuff in Kirby games.
Really, some of the things that I want to mention about Kirby specifically would be, well, I just thought of this. There's the mini game in Kirby's Adventure where you're eating eggs that are being thrown at you by King Dedede. So there's something right there. And like you even have Cook Kirby, where you cook up enemies and turn them into items to replenish your health.
Yeah, Chef Kirby. I don't know if you could. Yep, there we go. Hold on. Sorry, my camera's backwards. There we go. There's Chef Kirby right there.
Yeah. And that's also his final smash in Smash Brothers.
Yep, that's I don't remember if that's why I ended up getting Chef Kirby or not. I think I just saw a picture of Kirby holding a frying pan, and I was like, let's put the chef hat on him, and he's actually dumping out some broken fried eggs that he made because he's angry that he broke his fried eggs. So,
and you like to cook too, so
I do.
Yeah, so that also goes there. But yeah, the maximum tomato is a really awesome item as far as items that are food related go.
Yep, I wrote down that's actually my favorite power up from Kirby, just because it refills your health 100%, and I just think it looks cool. Even though I don't like tomatoes, I think they're gross. In life.
Yeah, well, something about a tomato with a big M on the side of it's delicious looking.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
In Kirby Superstar and Superstar Ultra, there's the mode where you're racing against DDD, and you're eating the entire time because there's items everywhere that are all food. So Kirby is just a celebration of eating in game form, really.
Yeah, and if you ever watched the Kirby show that was on, I don't know, probably like 6 or 7 years ago, that's all he cared about was eating food in that show. And he ate everything. Stuff that wasn't even food he would eat. He didn't care. Just whatever he could inhale, he would do.
Yeah, okay. So I've covered pretty much what I wanted to about Kirby.
Yeah, I don't have anything else written about Kirby.
Okay.
So I guess I'll go ahead and bring up the next game. Let's talk about Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter has quite a bit of food themes in it. Not only do you eat before each mission, and it gets pretty intricate. You know, you have four different cooking methods. You could grill, boil, fry, and I can't remember the fourth right now. But you're also picking really crazy ingredients, right? You pick two, and based on the two you pick, you get a stat boost. So, did you have anything to add about that part?
Well, not only is there the eating before each match, you also can cook the meat that you get from monsters on the
Right.
field. I think that's really cool, especially when you get the double grill.
Yep. I have the same thing written down, so that's fun.
It's kind of complicated to learn how to use it, but once you get a hang of it, it's so much fun just like whipping steaks off the grill.
The double grill. Yeah, and it's cool because now not only is there cooking in the game, but it's also kind of a music-based game as well, because the way to cook is you listen to the song and you're waiting for a certain audio cue. That's how you get a perfect, a perfect meat.
Yes. And then on top of that, I also wanted to mention that you could kind of consider all the potions and stuff to be kind of cooking related.
Yeah, definitely.
And I absolutely love combining all the different items to make different stat buffs, or for healing purposes, or to replenish your stamina.
Yep.
I wish more games honestly had this kind of like building food thing going on in it.
Yeah, I mean, combining stuff is just a big thing in Monster Hunter in general. You actually get to the point where to speed run certain things, you'll be combining stuff out on the field. And there's books that you can hold on to that make it easier to combine things. And there's actually armor abilities also centered around combining. So it's not something that you absolutely have to do to enjoy Monster Hunter, but if you get good at it, or if you plan properly for each monster, it can make the game a lot easier and quicker. And it basically comes down to your mastering it. So you'll start putting together armor with like combination plus, and so you're getting more stuff per combination, or I forget what it's called, but there's also an ability to where your combinations happen more frequently. You don't break things and waste stuff as much. So that's pretty cool.
So yeah.
Oh, and there's also, going back to the meat in the game, there's also ways you could put poison, paralysis, or ice into the meat and feed that to the monsters, and that'll affect the monsters. So there's a lot of different food themes going on within this game.
Yeah. All very fun. So the next game I was going to mention will be, I guess, Cooking Mama,
which I've never played.
So I haven't played a ton of it. I mostly used Cooking Mama to test DS and 3DS systems, because it's a really easy game to get into, and you're always doing a lot of touchscreen stuff. So it's a good way to test the touchscreen and see if it's calibrated properly, if there's not like a dead zone in it or something. But of my experience with the game, it's really cool that you pick these recipes to make different foods, and then to make them, you're just going through mini games.
Right.
And so you're dragging your stylus across the screen to slice onions or cut some meat, and you're doing like circle motions to stir pots that you're cooking. And all of it really does, I think, come together pretty well into a game. And really, I just think that it works really well with each other, and it has a lot of variety, considering you're doing all these different things with cooking. And it kind of, if you like cooking in real life, I could see where it would be something fun to do in a video game.
Yeah, I'm interested to try it. When I was looking for food-based games, it kept coming up the most, and I noticed that there's even sequels and stuff now, so it looks like there's a lot to jump into.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 games in that series.
Cool. I can't really comment on, though. Like I said, I never played it. So, sticking with cooking stuff, the next thing I'm gonna bring up a character in a game that I think is kind of funny. Farfetch'd from Pokemon.
Okay.
Who's like a duck-based character, and he carries a little leek around that he uses as his weapon, but he's carrying around the thing that makes him taste the best when you cook him. And if you look at one of his original descriptions, it says that he's really rare because he tastes so good. I forget which game that was from, or if maybe it was from the show or something, but I just think that's pretty funny that he's using his own ingredients as a weapon. So that made
I
me.
never even noticed that before.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, why don't you go ahead and bring up another one? We'll just keep going
Well,
back and
can
forth.
I talk about Pokemon some more?
Yeah, that's cool.
While we're on the topic, there is other things related to food in Pokemon, whether it's the berries, which um, I got really into harvesting the berries,
Yeah.
but I never really focused on it as far as like using them in battle. Might be one of the reasons why I'm terrible at the game.
Yeah, the most berries are. You could use a lum berry, which will heal anything. You hold on to it if you get paralyzed or poisoned, it'll immediately heal it. And I also like to run the citrus berry, which does the most healing. So once you get down below, you get to a point where your bar turns yellow, you'll eat a citrus berry, and you get, I don't know, you get like a quarter health back, maybe 30%. So that's the most bang for your buck. There's other berries that do the same thing, but they don't heal as much. Citrus is the best, and that's citrus with an S. It's kind of spelled funky.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're all based on like real fruit, but
Yeah.
are weird. And then there's other things like the lemonade or it's like soda.
Soda, lemonade, water are the three you can get out of the vending machines in pretty much every game.
Yeah. I don't really focus on those. When I play Pokemon, I don't really focus a lot on healing items at all. I usually just do a lot of grinding until my team is good enough to get through an area without needing any kind of extra healing.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm pretty much the same way. I don't start focusing on items until much later when I need them for breeding and leveling and training and stuff like that. The only thing I wrote down besides what I mentioned earlier was rare candies. That jumped out at me immediately as a cool food. I mean, they give you a free level, and they're pretty awesome. And they're very rare in the later games, unless you have like a Game Shark or something where you can clone a billion of them.
Yeah.
So you can buy them. You can buy them with BP now, which is cool as far as the current generation, which I like. But they're expensive. I believe they're 45 a piece. That's a lot of BP.
And really, they're so rare, as their name implies, that I find myself just like waiting to use them until like I absolutely need to, or not, like until I'm like really high level and I'm just getting through like the last couple of levels or something.
Yeah, just to save yourself a little time. I understand.
Yeah. Is it my turn, I guess, for a game?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and bring up one?
Okay. I wanted to mention kind of this all as one set because I wanted to talk about Mario Galaxy and all the food levels in Mario Galaxy, and even in now into even the side-scrolling levels. It didn't seem to be something that was really prevalent. I guess there was some reference to food in Mario World.
Yep.
But you didn't start noticing like levels like made out of like cake and other desserts and foods until Galaxy, I think. Sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Nothing in 64. Definitely no food levels in Sunshine either. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe New Super Mario Brothers could have had a food theme level.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I played that original one on DS, man. It's been a long time. It's hard to remember.
But what I wanted to bring up before then is the same team that made the Galaxy games also was in charge of Donkey Kongo. I think we mentioned that before. And that is kind of like I think, a precursor to the Mario games because there's food involved in that. Donkey Kong seems to always be hungry. So, of course, there's going to be food involved in that.
Yep.
And so once it goes into the Mario Galaxy games, it really has become a staple of Mario games to have food levels, specifically like cakes and stuff. Kind of, I guess Peach likes to bake.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Either that or she likes to make all the toads bake for her. I don't know.
Yeah. And so those have always really stood out to me, those levels. They're always like, they're just like, they do make you hungry. They're always so nice looking and you want to bite the screen or whatever. So I just wanted to kind of point that out with Mario games that there seems to be a big emphasis on food in those nowadays.
Yeah, and that also could be a product of them just running out of ideas of stuff to do too. I mean, how many Mario games have they made? You run out of different level. You know, how many times are you gonna make a fire, ice, water level? I mean, you got to start shaking it up.
Yeah.
So cool. I'll go ahead and bring up. I'm gonna bring up a cool power up, which a lot of people still might not even know about. The chocolate bar in Punch Out.
Where am I? I can't even find my chocolate bar. I must be in the wrong corner.
Which was kind of a secret in the original Punch Out, but in the Wii version, they make a deal about knowing that it's there. So when you're between rounds, if you press, is it select or start, Adam? Do you remember?
I honestly don't know.
I believe it's start. Your trainer, Doc, he'll give you a chocolate bar, and that gives you a way bigger health boost for the next round. So that's just a little. I don't think you actually see him eat the chocolate bar or anything. It's just a little hidden trick that I don't even know how I found out about when I was a kid. I'm guessing somebody from school probably told me, or maybe I read about it in Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
But I always thought that was a pretty cool power up in general, and of course it's food based, so I wanted to bring it up.
Awesome. I'll quickly mention the game Cubivore. It's one of my favorite games, mostly because of how weird it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that game centers around you being a little box that eats other animals that are also boxes. And you can rip their limbs off and consume them to power yourself up.
Oh, wow.
And every level you play through, you fight all these other monsters, and all their limbs are little like squares that are attached to the cube. And depending on what color they are and like what pattern they are on the body, they'll affect the stats of that character. And so you're going through the levels trying to like pick the right animals to eat in the right order so that you are the most powerful once you get to the boss. And then the boss usually has a special piece on it that will stay with you no matter what. And will give you some kind of like big stat boost to help you with the next level.
Oh, cool.
And so it's all about like survival of the fittest and the circle of life, and it's really centered around eating other cube-shaped animals. And so I just wanted to bring that game up.
What system was that on? I've never played it.
It was made by Nintendo for the GameCube, and.
Okay.
I wasn't paying attention to games as much back then.
Yeah, neither was I.
But I was excited about it since the first time I saw it in Nintendo Power. And I guess maybe it didn't sell as well in Japan, so they hadn't planned on releasing it in the US. But they let Atlas publish it for the US, which is not something Nintendo usually would let happen.
Yeah, it does happen. I can think of a few instances where it has, but it is a rare thing. They usually publish their own stuff, or we're just not going to get it.
Yeah, and so, but the game is really, although it's very weird and the graphics may be off-putting because of how simple they are, I adored that game. It is one of my favorite games, and I would really like to play through it again and go into more depth on the game for the show sometime.
I'd like to try it because I never even heard of it until you brought it up.
But yeah, I thought it was worth a mention.
Cool. The next thing I will bring up is, I got so many different things written here. I wanted to mention Okami because Okami has a lot of different food. I started writing down some of it, but the list is so long. And it all centers around a thing called an astral pouch, which is kind of like the bottles in Zelda. You basically you're loading it up with food, and once it gets to a certain amount, it's full. And then basically what happens is if you die, it'll bring you back to life. And there's certain food that fills it up better, but my favorite is probably the golden peach. I just think that's really cool. And the golden peach will 100% fill an astral pouch, which I thought was cool. But there's all kinds of different, there's lots of Japanese themed food in there, all kinds of crazy dishes just based on which town you're in. There's all kinds of fruit and vegetables. I mean, almost any food you could think of, there's some kind of representation of it in Okami. Not to mention there's also a bunch of games based on fishing, which, you assume they're going to eat those fish that they catch. So food's a big part of it.
The other thing about Okami, and the reason I mentioned it, is that you will find animals throughout the environment, and you can feed the animals to make them fall in love with you, basically.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the game was this simple cutscene where it just kind of circles around you and the animal eating the food you've given it, and hearts coming off of its head.
Yeah,
and,
I like that too. It was cool.
You can skip it, but I almost never did. I just really liked it, and so that's actually the reason why I put Okami on my list.
Cool.
Where do we go here? To keep in the theme of that, I'm going to go with Miramasa, the Demon Blade.
I also wrote down Muramasa.
Awesome. Which this game, you can go to like little restaurants or houses where someone's cooking, and you can purchase food from them. And what's cool about this game is that it'll like show you a full screen of this bowl of ramen that you've been given, and as you press the A button, it'll like start to eat parts of it, and it's like really beautifully painted, almost to the point where it looks real in some instances. And they just put a lot of detail in the way the ham looks, and the way the eggs look, and all the different parts of all the different foods. They have so much Japanese food in that game.
Yeah, they do.
So I wanted to make sure to bring that up.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. That's basically what I wrote down too. So I just remembered it. And again, I haven't played Muramasa in a long time. I need to go back to it. But I played so much of it before, it's kind of hard. I put a ton of hours into it. But I'm interested to see what all the food looks like again, especially with you. You're making me remember as you bring it up. So maybe I'll play the new, the remake of Muramasa at some point.
Okay.
And then I could see all the awesome food again. I just remembered, all I could remember was that it was a big part of the game. There was tons of different food in it, and I thought there was a cooking mechanic in that game too. Am I wrong about that?
There's some kind of like item usage within the regular game where you can combine things to make like health replenishing things and stuff. So there's some like light, almost Monster Hunter-esque stuff in the game, but the main thing that stuck out to me was all the drawings of the food and stuff, because they really didn't even need to do that to make the game good. That was just something they threw in just because they could.
Yeah, that's true. It would have been just as awesome even without any of that food stuff. So cool. Should I go ahead and break another one?
Yeah.
Let's see. I wanted to mention A Boy and His Blob.
Okay.
And I'm going to mention the Way Forward one because I prefer that over the original NES and then the Game Boy one. And I just figured I would pick a couple. So the Boy and His Blob is all about feeding the blob jelly beans, and it turns him into various, he transforms into things. And my two favorites, I like the punch hole. So you throw a punch-flavored jelly bean to him, and he turns into a hole that you could put on the floor and go through platforms and stuff. And I just think punch hole of the name of it is very clever. and I just I like root beer rocket because I like root beer flavored jelly beans, and I think it's cool that he turns into a rocket. So those were the two. But there's a ton of them. There's a ton of different jelly beans.
Yeah.
In the game.
Is there a ketchup flavored one?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
I thought so. I haven't played the game, which seems kind of weird, but
You haven't played the Way Forward one?
no, I haven't.
Oh man, you're missing out. If I could give you my copy, I would. But I bet you probably have it.
I could probably find a copy pretty easily.
You should definitely play it, Adam. It's really fun. It was. I was pretty much obsessed with it when it came out. So.
Okay.
And like I said, I was never into the NES or the Game Boy version. I mean, they were okay, but I guess they were a little bit too hard for me when I was a kid. I couldn't figure them out.
The old ones do seem pretty difficult.
Well, the Way Forward Wii version is way more intuitive, and it's just a lot of fun. And plus, the art style is really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's a hug the blob button.
Yes, there is.
So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
I would like to mention next the game Munchables, another game you've probably never played.
No, never played.
This is for the Wii, and it's made by, I think, Namco, and is pretty much a Katamari game, but rather than rolling things up to make a bigger Katamari, you're like a little animal, and you move around the environment eating like vegetables and stuff. And and as you eat, you get bigger, and so you can eat bigger and bigger vegetables, and all the vegetables are like alive and have arms and faces and stuff, and all the bosses are like big vegetables as well.
Oh, cool.
And so it's just a unique little platformer centered around eating stuff, getting big, so that you can take on a giant boss at the end of the stage.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that game. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I have a whole lot of weird, very obscure Wii games that are in my collection. They're some of my favorite games.
That's true. So, were you good? I can't add to that. I've never played it.
That's pretty much all I can say about it as far as eating goes.
All right, so I've got a few old games. I'm gonna rapid fire these off, and this will close out my list. So I would just want to mention Yo Noid for NES, made by Capcom, because it's based on the Domino's mascot. I wanted to mention Cool Spot for Super NES, made by Virgin Games, based on the 7-Up mascot. I'm going to stick with the old theme. I really like the meat hunks that you pick up in Castlevania. They're hard to find, and they fully heal you. The pizzas in Ninja Turtles. Insert Ninja Turtle game here. There's pizza in pretty much all of them. And I think that was basically, that's it. That's the end of my list of all the food things I could think of.
Okay. Let's see what I have still left. I have 3 things. The first thing I'm going to mention is Metal Gear Solid 3.
I see you caught yourself a reticulated python. The reticulated python is said to be the longest snake in the world. The biggest ones can grow up to 10 meters in length. Although they're not poisonous, they're still very dangerous, so be careful around them. They have a highly ferocious temperament, and they can swallow whole, even large animals like deer and pigs. Their most distinguishing feature is the mesh pattern of their scales. This pattern acts as a highly effective natural camouflage. If you think there might be a reticulated python about, pay close attention to your surroundings. Otherwise, you could get bitten before you even know it's there. It's a huge snake, but you should be able to capture it alive by using the tranquilizer gun. I'll bet if you capture one and throw it at an enemy, it'll give him a good scare.
Right. But how do they taste?
Huh?
Do they taste good?
You're actually going to eat one.
Why else would I be asking?
Cannibal.
Snake eater, right?
Snake eater, where you eat lots of snakes.
That's the truth.
If you want to get through that game, there's really not enough health replenishing items throughout the whole game if you play as slowly as I do. And so you're constantly needing to kill all of the animals that you encounter. And you can kill frogs and birds and snakes and rats and other rodents, pretty much everything.
Yep.
And you can eat all of it, and some of it replenishes your health more than others. Some of it actually will make you sick. And you can, one of the things I do like about it is you can call up, I think the girl that you call to save, and you can talk to her about all the food, all the animals you've caught, and there's always some kind of weird, funny dialogue about you wanting to eat this animal that you've captured.
Their favorite food is insects, but they'll also eat small fish, acorns, and fruit. They're omnivores, which means...
They'll eat anything.
Right. Just like you, huh?
Yeah,
And,
I ate a snake at the beginning, but that was it. And then I played through the whole game and never ate another animal ever again.
I was obsessed with eating everything.
Like Kirby.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I played Metal Gear, like it was a Kirby game. And then the last 2 things I want to mention Pac-Man, a game, and Miss Pac-Man, both games solely centered around you eating dots and fruits and pretzels.
And ghosts, and everything's based on eating.
Yeah. So I had to throw that one out there. And then the last thing I was going to mention is Super Meat Boy, which until today was not available on a Nintendo system.
Yep.
And that game you play as a little thing made out of meat, and it's a pretty fun platformer game.
Challenging. Really challenging.
Very challenging. I actually, on the other system that I played it on, I bought a special controller just for that game.
Oh, wow.
It's like a simple little like arcade stick, I think, designed for fighting games.
Okay.
But because it has a really clicky thumbstick, it worked. I found it worked really well for playing Super Meat Boy on.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to play it on a Nintendo platform. Should have happened. Originally Super Meat Boy was being made for Wii.
Yeah, we talked about it, or at least I did, constantly.
We talked about it a bunch in our previous version of this show. In multiple episodes, we brought up how disappointed we were that we ended up not getting. Yeah, not only did it not come out on Wii like it was supposed to, and it was supposed to be just for the Wii, at least in the beginning, and then it ended up coming on every system but the Wii. I'm sorry?
It was kind of announced as a Wii game only, originally.
Yep, exactly. And then every other system but the Wii ended up getting it. So
that's what made it just so disappointing.
That's why you and I basically boycotted it for a long time. I only ended up buying it on computer because it was super cheap. I got it for like $1. And I was bummed out about that for a long time. I was really looking forward to that game. I was looking forward to playing it sideways Wiimote on my Wii,
What did you end up thinking about it overall?
It's fun. I only played through the first couple levels, though. I guess I got sidetracked by something else. I'll go back to it eventually. But I like it. It's challenging. I like speed running. So any game like that. And, the aesthetic's really cool. I like there's a bunch of different characters in it. Yeah, it's fun.
Cool. So I think we're done with the list today. So I don't know what the next song is.
I don't
remember what it was, so I'm going to throw that to you.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll go ahead and close out this segment. Honorable mention to Yoshi, who also likes to eat a ton of stuff. But let's go ahead and close out. The next song's going to be Donut Plains 3 from the Mario Kart 8 game, and we will be right back.
All right, so we're back for the news segment. And so I'm going to start off this with some sad news here. Disney has announced that they're not going to be making any more Disney Infinity stuff.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised.
And apparently that includes even stuff they've already announced. So apparently there was a Rogue One set that they were going to be working on. And they're not going to be making that, and they're just not going to be making any more games.
I wonder if it must be doing bad.
I guess. Now, the weird thing I think about this is Disney bought LucasArts which had a whole gaming division, which they closed down.
Hmm.
Disney themselves had Disney Interactive Studios, which was working on Disney, along with Avalanche Studios, which is like a third-party thing. And so they have all this good quality gaming stuff, and they've just completely abandoned it, even though gaming is a huge market. So that they're just going to keep having other companies make games for them. I just think that's a weird move.
Yeah, it's strange. I wonder if maybe it couldn't compete with Spyro, or...
Well, I mean, Spyro's not really doing that well lately either.
Yeah, I mean, I know Amiibos sell, but, I mean, there's not a ton of games based around those. Yeah, it's interesting. I know when I go into stores, there's it's usually like an aisle just dedicated to Disney, all the different Disney interactive toys. I'm surprised that they're getting rid of it. Yeah.
It's weird. And the other thing is that the game that I was excited about coming, called 90s Arcade Racer, which was heavily inspired by like Ridge Racer and Sega GT or Sega Rally and Daytona USA and all those old racing
I loved
games.
Daytona USA when I was a kid. 2 specifically, I played a lot too.
So it's inspired by all those games. They announced that they're changing the name to 90s Super GP, and Wii U is no longer listed on a list of systems it's coming out for. So that's kind of a shame.
Yeah, it sucks.
I'm hoping that maybe it's because Nintendo has a new system coming out. Maybe they'll just put it on that system.
Yeah, probably. Is it listed for 3DS?
It's probably not a game that would run on the 3DS.
Okay.
Even though it's really designed around like simpler looking games, it's got a lot going on in it, and I just don't think it would quite run very well on that system. But maybe on this other system that they're working on, I could totally see that happening. It's not that far away, so who knows? And then I wanted to mention that there was the new Pokemon trailer that came out.
Mm-hmm.
Showed off the new starters. There's also a really cool Japanese trailer that has a lot of non-gameplay and just shows a boy who has moved to Hawaii using Pokemon to relate to kids that he can't speak well with, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I'm interested. You watched the trailer. Who are you going to pick for your starter?
Okay, so I really like the Fire Kitty looking one. He's pretty cool. I did want to mention though that me and my friend were talking about this game. This is the first time since the original Pokemon that there's a dual type starter. There's a lot of starters that eventually become dual types as you evolve them, but not since Bulbasaur, who was grass poison, has there been a dual type starter. Now there's grass flying, which is really cool because we need more grass flying in the game. So I'm glad they finally put out another grass flyer, and it's cool that it's a dual starter. So I guess I'll probably go with the fire guy though. I think he looks the coolest. I usually choose water, but that seal's kind of funky looking. I like the cat.
Well, Oshawott I thought was really stupid looking, and he turned out to be pretty cool.
Yeah, he is cool. That's true.
So the seal guy might end up being pretty awesome looking too. But I'm probably going to go with the cat as well.
Cool.
I like cats a lot, and he just looks the coolest. The fire types are usually the coolest one, aren't they?
Yeah, for the most part, it seems like. Not since I like Squirtle the best in the original, but ever since then, it usually seems like fire is usually the coolest one.
Yeah. And then while on the topic of Pokemon, from the 11th, which was yesterday, to the 17th, you can get a shiny Xernia.
Yeah, shiny Xernia. They just ended the Zygarde giveaway. I made sure I went on all 3 versions of my game and got 3 of them, and I'll be doing the same thing for the shiny legendaries. They're gonna hand out the one you just mentioned, and then the crazy fairy one is coming next, and they're both shiny.
Cool. All right, and so Nintendo has put out a lot of information this week, surprisingly. So the 2DS is getting a price drop from $9.99 to $79.99.
That's crazy. It's already super cheap at $9.99.
Yeah, so instead of being $100, it's $80, which that's insane.
Yeah.
And they're also promoting it along with some of their, what do they call those? So, what are the cheap ones? The cheap games with the new cases.
Oh yeah, what are those called?
Oh my gosh, they're like select titles or
Yeah,
something
like
like that.
Player's Choice or something.
But there's a handful of pretty good games you can get for $20, so you can easily get a game and a system for under $100 before tax.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
A hell of a deal.
Yeah, and I can only imagine what kind of deals they're going to be running when Pokemon finally comes out. And along with that ad where they're talking about the price drop, they have a new slogan that Nintendo has, which is "There's no play like it." And it's got a little animation that goes along with it, and they're really there's a big campaign they're doing right now of changing the look of all of Nintendo's marketing. I assume it's in preparation for the new system.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're going back to using a lot of red, which I'm sure is very welcomed by you.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good.
So yeah, it's instead of it being gray and white like it has been since the Wii, it's all red and white again, and it looks really nice, and it's nice that it feels like they're kind of going back to the roots of the Play It Loud time period of Nintendo.
Which is those are all my favorite. I loved all the Play Loud stuff. I thought it was really cool when I was a kid.
Yeah. This is a little bit less 90s extreme, but it still feels similar, so it's nice. And then some game announcements. Disney Magical World 2, which is kind of like a Disney Animal Crossing game. And the sequel of that was announced to come out in October. I kind of expected that. Unexpectedly, the sequel to Style Savvy, the third game in the series, is going to be coming out in August, and it's going to be called Style Savvy Fashion Forward. Something weird about this game, to me, is that in Japan, it's called Girls Mode, and it's just Girls Mode 2, and Girls Mode 3. In Europe, I think it's Style Savvy, and then Style Savvy 2 with, I think it has the Trendsetters tag on it like the US version does.
Okay.
But Style Savvy 3 in Europe is called New Style Savvy 2 Fashion Forward.
That's strange.
I completely don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it.
They all have slightly different names from each other in the different regions that they've been released. But this is, I know I've seen a lot of people online excited about this game getting a US announcement, and even more so, Phoenix Wright 6, which will be known as Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice, is going to be coming out in September in North America. And I was not expecting that because I'm not sure how well the last one that they did sold. I think it was 5, which was also digital only in the US. Mm-hmm. It seemed like the series was kind of just dying off, so it's nice that they're still devoted to making sure those games are coming out. So,
yeah, I had heard that we were never going to get 6, so it kind of goes to you can't believe everything you hear, because these game companies can do whatever they want.
Well, Capcom is really hard to read.
Yeah, that's true.
So they do a lot of good stuff, but they also do a lot of crazy stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, some head-scratching stuff sometimes.
And something else that Capcom announced is that Monster Hunter's Generation is going to have a XL bundle, and it looks like the game's coming out on July 15th.
Oh, great. Yep, I knew it was coming sometime this year, so I'm excited.
So that'll be a fun summer game.
Definitely.
And so I can move on to releases here. So for the Wii U, Super Meat Boy is coming out. We mentioned that before. What I didn't mention to you or in the audience is that until the 26th, it's going to be $11.20 to pick that game up. And then after that, it's still going to be only $14.
Yeah, it's not too bad. There's a lot of game in there. So
yeah, especially if you like the speed run like you and I do. I got obsessed with trying to like beat my friends' times, and
Yep.
there's like a ranking system within the game, so you can get like an A ranking or a B ranking, and I think there's like a A plus, which is the best. And so I was obsessed with trying to get all of my records to be A plus times.
Yep.
So that's a cool game. I'm probably going to pick that up just to show support on the Nintendo platform for the game.
Agreed.
I've been wanting it for so long. A game called Color Symphony 2, which is a puzzle platformer, came out today. A game called Tracheon Project, which is a dual-stick shooter, came out. A kind of weird game called 8-Bit Hero, which has 2D sprites of characters and enemies, but it's like in a 3D environment, and it kind of moves like Zelda. It's a 5-player game, though, which is could be interesting.
Yeah.
I watched the video on it, and I don't know if it's as puzzly or anything like that, but it does give me some serious Zelda vibes as far as the gameplay goes. The only thing I thought looked bad on it was like the hitbox for your sword seems to be really narrow, which, and like beat 'em up games and stuff kind of annoys me when that's the case.
Yeah.
There's Queen's Garden, which is a match 3 game. And then for Virtual Console, The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass came out.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's one of my least favorite Zelda games, but
I like it.
it's still a cool Zelda game. I never beat it.
I totally beat it, and I beat the sequel, and I know a lot of people hate them. I think they're awesome.
I love Spirit Tracks, so
I like them both. They're both fun.
And then the last thing on the Wii U is that there's some free DLC for Minecraft that is Super Mario themed. So a bunch of
cool.
And it's not just skins. It has some extra, very specific Mario content, including some special looking blocks. I think they respond the way you would expect them to from a Mario game.
Okay.
It's got a bunch of Mario 64 music that they've added to the game, and a bunch of character models for the dog from Yoshi's Island.
Poochie.
Yeah. Daisy and Peach, Toad, Mario and Luigi, Birdo, Waluigi, Wario. Lots of Mario content, all for free, which is pretty amazing.
Still not enough to get me to play Minecraft, but it's cool.
I mean, if you're already playing it, it's awesome. And then for the 3DS, we have a game called Words Up Academy, a game called Disney Art Academy, and some more Fire Emblem deals. Some Fire Emblem DLC.
Yeah, that's like, you might as well just... every week there's going to be more Fire Emblem DLC.
And so the last thing on altogether that I want to mention is that on the 3DS, there is a demo for Witch and Hero 2, which is a pretty simple like tower defense type of game.
Yep.
That I played the first one and liked it.
I played the
cheap
demo, I think.
Okay.
So.
It was really cheap, so I just bought it one weekend and played it for like a whole weekend and beat it and had a good time. I'll probably play the demo of this and pick it up if it's, again, a cheap game.
Cool.
It's a nice time waster, for sure. And that does it for the news.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and close out the show. For me, it's at Bradley Guys, Twitter and YouTube. I've still got that Shantae code to hand out. So, as I've been saying the last couple weeks, if anybody wants it, just private message me on Twitter or YouTube, and I'll hook you up right away. And you don't even have to do anything for it. Just say, you're digging the show, and I want that code.
Awesome. And for me, I'm I Draw Robots pretty much everywhere, except for YouTube. I also have some codes to give away. I got into the Humble Bundle before it went away. So I have codes for Retro City Rampage that I can give away. And not Nano Spray, but the other shooter that's on the list that I can give away as well. So if you want a code from me, just find me on Twitter at IdraRobots and message me, and I will give you a code.
Cool. Yeah, definitely hit us up and get some. I mean, we're just handing out games like crazy, but I guess nobody wants them. But maybe we'll get some replies this week. Anyway, thank you very much for watching or listening or however you're checking out the show. Until next week, we will catch you later.
Well. Team, we're going to be powering through some meetings all day today, but to keep us going, I got us some snacks. Bill! 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 Bill!